Hi guys, and welcome to episode 3, part 2 of Uniform. If you haven't listened or watched or whatever you do with this in part 1, my dog's barking.
And this part shall be edited out. Well, guys, it's as a UK Security 101 here, just sitting here by myself, talking to myself. This is not new. Seems like work.
Right, okay. So yeah, if you haven't listened to episode 1 already, it'll be in the description of this video. It'll be at the top, so you can go and listen to part 1. That was sort of the standard side of Uniform, what you should be expecting to wear, or some of our preferences to what we wear. So this part 2 is going to be Specialist Uniform. Again, as you just heard, I'm with UK Security 101. Who is going to help me out through this, because there's some bits in here that I don't really know too much about, especially the first one. So the first subject of the Specialist Uniform is tactical belt. I don't have a tactical belt. I have a belt with lots of notches, and that's what keeps my trousers up. So how do you keep your trousers up?
Right. Well, first of all, so a tactical belt is not. It's not about keeping your trousers up. So a lot of people will refer to it as a duty belt. It's not common amongst us as dog handlers. We tend to use a vest just because it's a lot easier for us. What you'll find is that like duty belts are more common amongst people who work in like either office or retail environments, because they're not allowed to wear a tack vest to carry all their equipment, so they carry it all on a thick nylon reinforced belt. So how it works is basically there'll be an inner belt, and the inner belt will be like a lightweight belt that will go through the belt loops on your belt and keep your trousers up, and that velcros together, and then it's got loop velcro on the outside of it, and then the outer belt, which is the one where all your pouches and all that will be on, or all your kit, that will then velcro on to that, on top of that belt, sitting on top of your pants. And then you put belt keepers around it, these little snap-on belt keepers, and it holds it in place for when you're on duty. Now, it's more common over in the States. If you watch anything like that channel I've said to you about before, Free Field Training with a guy called Tommy, he does a lot of videos on how to set up a belt that way. I'm not the biggest one on it, because I used one for probably a year, and the tremendous amount of back pain that I had, I was like, yeah, sod this. So as we say tactical belt, what I really mean is duty belt. However, they do have the place. It's some places you can't get away with wearing a tack vest. So it's sort of a way to, if you've got to carry a certain amount of things with you, like if you've got to carry a strike machine, a strike phone, and then you've got to carry like a separate torch, and you carry a mag light, and all of the things, or tools, multi-tool, because you know things about this job. Your part-time lawkeeper, your part-time friggin' handyman, part-time friggin' electrician. You never know what you're going to be doing at work. So they do have the place. In regards to like just standard belts where holding your trousers up for uniform, you can get a lot of specialized belts where you can buy them from the police, and like black full leather belt and stuff like that. To be honest though, you can get the exact same thing if you go on eBay and type in riggers belt, because you can get like a builder's riggers belt that's just completely black with a silver buckle that looks identical to a police belt, and it's made out of full grain leather like a police belt is, and you'll have a countless amount of notches, so odds are it's going to fit your size as well. The belt I currently use just to hold my trousers up is Miltex riggers belt, and the reason I like that one is that when you put it round, and it's got like a loop system, so you put the belt through the loop and then bring it back on itself, put it through the other loop, and tighten it down, and it cinches and stays tight. But the nice part about that is that the extra bit of flap that you've got left from the belt is Velcro. So it'll Velcro onto the side, and then it'll keep it there up nice and tight, not flapping around. And you don't have to worry about it coming out of a loop or anything like that. So that's what I tend to use. And to be fair, they're fairly priced as well. I think like they're only like a tenner, and a heavy duty military grade nylon. So they ain't gonna break, and they're relatively comfortable. So I've got two of them at the moment.
Yeah. So in terms of a tack belt or a duty belt, it's just carrying things like torch. Maybe if you use some identity spray, just little different things like that. Like you said, maybe a pair of cutters, or maybe I don't know. Would you be able to fit something like some zip ties or something in there as well? Handcuffs, would they go on there?
Yeah. So the things with a duty belt is that you can get all godly number of pouches for them. You can even get micro molly duty belts. So any compatible molly pouch that you see like with like all the specialist kit and equipment for like the police will go on a belt. So you can, the sky's the limit. In all honesty, like you can get anything to fit anything. I think as a standard, if I was going to go to a duty belt again, I think it'd be as a standard. I'd probably carry my multi-tool, small torch. I'd have a drop loop to put a mag light in, just in case I wanted to carry the extra capability, if you know what I mean. And then I'd probably have another pouch in regards to carrying like an ID spray. I'd have my handcuffs. If I was wearing a duty belt, I will say this, guys, if you're going to wear a duty belt, I'd advise having folding handcuffs, not the full-size ridge ones, because they are a pain in the ass when you've got a belt on. Trying to get in and out of the car and drive it with a duty belt on with full-size ridge cuffs, it's not happening. You will end up throwing that frigging belt out the window halfway through the trip. So yeah, I think the last time I did it, it was so uncomfortable as I was moving around. I actually handcuffed my belt to the door. Yeah, that was an interesting one. Try working that one out. Doing fucking 60 down the motorway.
Handcuffed.
Yeah. So yeah, what I'd say is that with a belt, you want to try and distribute the weight as much as possible. You can carry a first aid kit as well. That's another one, a small first aid kit, but try not to go too big. When you've got a belt, because you will suffer for it. It will weigh on you. And bear in mind, you're going to have this on for like 12 hours, as a standard shift. It will get to you. If something's not comfortable, then don't use it or move it until it is comfortable, because people might look at it and go, "Oh, that doesn't look right." But it's not about how it looks; it's more about how it functions.
Mm-hmm. How do you? Because I've got a leather belt, but occasionally, like the leather belt can cut into your hips or something. If you're sitting in, not obviously you get up and do patrols and that, but if you're sitting down for periods of time, I find that the belt can cut a little bit into your sides and that. Have you used like material belts that are maybe a little bit more flexible and fold up on themselves a little bit more, or have you not really had too much problem?
No, I've had that same problem as you, mate. So what that is usually a sign of is that the belt that you are using is not compatible with the belt loops on your combats.
Right.
So the loops on the ones I have at the moment are, the way they are so reinforced means that they can take pretty much any size diameter belt. They will take a 50 mil belt or a 2-inch thick, not thick, sorry, friggin' diameter, 2 thick diameter belt through that will hold them like perfectly in place. So it kind of comes down to like the quality of the pants, how the loops have been stitched. For example, if you've got them really thin belt loops, odds are that's going to dig into your sides.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got relatively thick thick belt loops that are, you know, roughly about yay much in diameter. Odds are they're not, because the pants aren't able to use that extra bit of material to slacken them roll, and that's when the belt starts coming over the top and starts digging into your sides. To help with that, I mean, if you've just got that for now and you're not going to ready to upgrade yet, what I'd probably suggest is maybe get your belt, if it's a little bit like, especially like leather belts, if it's a little bit brutal and still a little bit tough, maybe put a little bit of dubbing on them, and it just softens the leather a little bit, and it might stop it from being so harsh on your sides.
Yeah.
That tends to help me a lot. It works well with boots as well. So if you've got new boots and they're not wearing in very well, and are not flexing, a little bit of dubbing on them loosens up the leather, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, I think my main issue is on my belt. I'm right in between two loops, so it's like be on the lower one and they sit a little bit low and they're a little bit uncomfortable, or I'm on the tighter one where I have to wear them a bit higher, still fit perfect, but I have to wear them a little bit higher. But of course, it's then just a little bit tighter around sort of like the hip bone area.
Yeah.
So I think my main issue is that I'm in between two belt loops.
Do you know what I'll do is, Michael? Because again, I've had that problem with the belt loop not being at the right setting. Is like you can't find like a healthy balance. That's partly why I went to the Miltech ones. I've actually got a spare Miltech one. It's brand new. It's not even been used yet. What I'll do is, mate, I'll send that to you.
Okay, cool.
Just try that one out, because obviously it'll stop you getting your sides destroyed.
Okay, that's tack belt. Next, we're going on high vis stroke tactical vest. My experience is I got one off Amazon. Served me well. I've still got it. But recently, you had a night on one that you was getting rid of, or wanted a couple of quid for it. So I said, yeah, I'll have it. Difference I've found is obviously with the one I got off Amazon was thicker, heavier, still good quality. Obviously, all Velcro to sort of make it slimmer or bigger, whatever it was. I still don't dislike my old one. Probably the Velcro not being as good, so the Velcro running out, especially in the pouch where I had the dog's ball or his poo bags, especially the poo bag one where you're obviously opening it probably 2-3 times a shift every week. That starts wearing out, so the quality of the Velcro, etc. The new one that you got me, the Niton one, is more like a netting than it is an actual like material. I'm probably absolutely butchering that. It's probably more science to it than a bit of netting, you know what I mean? But obviously a bit lighter, zips are much better quality. I don't know how much it was brand new, but I found it to be good. I'm looking after it a bit more. So the ball I have is in a poo bag in the pocket now. So I'm looking after the inside of the pocket. But yeah, I'd also colour. So there is probably a video of me somewhere being a hypocrite saying that you should wear the what is it? A yellow? Is the high vis?
It's like a neon green or yellow high. Yeah, it's like the standard for high vis.
So there's a video out there of me being a hypocrite. So if someone wants to bring that up and call me a hypocrite, that's fine. I always said that I would rather be seen. So a lot of people like to wear like the black high vises because they want to be inconspicuous or they want to creep up on people. I would rather be seen, and so that someone couldn't turn around and say, oh, I didn't see he was there. I mean, obviously you'd know I was there with a dog, but someone couldn't turn around and say they couldn't see me. This one is black, so I am a hypocrite that I am wearing a black high vis now, but that's obviously through availability. So, but what are your thoughts on sort of colour, etc.? Because like I said, I was always on the side of I'd rather be seen, therefore they can't turn around and say they walked into me accidentally. But I can understand with the black one, looks a little bit smarter, looks maybe a little bit more professional, but there's obviously a downside that someone could turn around and say, oh, I didn't see him.
I think thing is with that, so like, yeah, there is the downside you could say he didn't sin, but either way, it's, you know, the black ones with the high vis, they still conform to the high vis standard of the yellow ones. You know, they are still classed as a piece of high visibility clothing. So in turn, you've not really broken any rules. Like, so the way me and you do it is like slightly different. So my vest is all black. My vest doesn't have any high vis in it at all, apart from the patches that say security front and back. Right, large one on the back, small one on the front. And if I want to be seen, then I will don my company issued high vis bib over the top of my kit or over the top of my vest. That is the only time. But if I don't want to be seen, I can just take it off, and that's why I find it's a good option. In regards to color with the vests, I mean, high vis vest on an all black uniform looks smart. If you're wearing any other color, it looks kind of weird. The other thing is with high vis vest as well is that because majority of us that wear them are dog handlers. Dog handlers get very, very messy because they have dogs, and I don't know about you, but like the high vis ones just pick up stains too easily, and then you know, very quickly something you've paid a lot of money for starts looking very unprofessional to the point where you don't want to wear it anymore. So if you are going to get a high vis one, I'd recommend going with the black variety with the high vis stitched onto it. That's just my personal preference. There are quite a few of them out there. There's one, a friend of mine's actually got it. The ProTech Advanced Security Vest, that looks smart as anything. It really does, like really, really well put together. And the only reason I don't use it is because for the pouches it has on it don't fit what I carry. It's the only reason I don't use it. But it's black. It looks really smart. And you've got like the standard ones that are all black. I mean, I don't know. It all depends down to personal preference. I mean, because I've been doing this job for quite a while, I understand the need to sometimes to disappear. Sometimes there are times when you don't want to be seen, you know, and that's why I think the high vis vest option is just it's just brilliant, because you could take that high vis vest out of your kit and just put it through a loop on the extra, you know, the belt loops on the back of your vest, and let it hang there. So if you need to don it when you're out on patrol, you can just whip it out, whack it on. There you go. You can clearly see me. Yeah. So personal preference, mate.
In terms of high vis, because I was trying to help a guy out at one point, sort of get set up, etc. And he is massive. He's like 6'5" or whatever he was. I can't remember how tall he was, but he's a big guy. And the problem he was having is that when he was buying a high vis, is that because he was so tall, the high vis was only coming like halfway down him. Are there high vises that are like made extra long or anything like that? Is there a specific place where you can get like longer ones rather than anything else?
When you say high vises, are you on about tack vest, or are you on about like actual high vis like vest, like high vis jacket slash mesh?
Tack vest. No, so tack vest.
Well, so the one I've just spoke about, the advanced ProTech Advanced Security Vest, that one is pretty good for big guys, because my friend who's got it, I'm pretty sure he's about 6'5", and he's a big built lad, and he has that on over the top of body armor, and it fits really well. Like size adjustment is excellent. So yeah, for the likes of him, maybe put him onto that one. I'd say, because they're kind of like a one size fits all, so they do have that extra amount of freaking room.
Where where would you say is the right length for a high vis to fit? Should it reach your belly button? Should it go past your belly button? Should it be above the belly button? In terms
So my sweet spot for a high vis where it doesn't look ridiculous, shall we say, when it starts looking a little bit stupid, is if it goes past your belt. If it sits below your belt, that's when it starts looking a bit stupid. It should be sat above your belt, because if it sits below your belt, that means if you try and sit down or anything, you're going to be putting pressure on yourself, because it's going to push the vest up, and it's going to be uncomfortable as well. You want to be sitting above your belt, maybe like 2 fingers worth above your belt, if you can, and get it to sit. Like if you're wearing body armor, get it to sit where the lip of your body armor is sitting. So it allows you to move and flex and turn without getting it caught or moving any of your stuff about. That is how I do it.
Okay. Moving on from high vis, we go on to body armor. Now, everyone's heard us speak quite a lot about it. We are people that will say that all security officers or dog handlers should have some form of body armor on. We understand that it is a personal preference. I was not naive, but I was unaware of it until I really started talking to you. And I think the interview that me and you done, I think I bought one within a week, just hearing some of the stories that obviously you came out with. And I think there are people that have bought body armor because of my videos or because of the video with you. So we do push body armor. I actually think, all in all, is that if nothing else, it's a great way of keeping warm in the winter. But
yeah, fantastic body warmer.
But yeah, we are big. We are big on body armor, people wearing it, etc. I've got one that you recommended to me through a specific thing. Now, people have. I got mine off Patrol Store, and they seem to have run out of. They seem to have run out of that body armor. So, is there a specific thing that you could be looking for? I know it's sort of like ex-police issue, but I remember you saying to me that this ex-police issue is a certain resistance that will sorry, I'm absolutely mumbling. This body armor will protect you against knife and a certain caliber of bullet. Is there like a standard for that stuff that people could be like Googling?
Yeah, so with body armor, there is different levels of protection. So it starts off from a low grade level 1. Level 2 is knife protection alongside low caliber ballistic protection. And you go to like level 3, 4, and 5 is like, if you're stood next to a bomb, it's not going to go through you. You don't need anything past 3. You know what I mean? That's for like guys who are like in bomb disposal and that sort of stuff, or in the military. A level 2 is going to be more than enough for the job, and are relatively not that expensive. So with a level 2, it can vary from brand to brand. Oh god, the dog's trying to eat someone. Juice. Right. So yeah, it'll vary from brand to brand, but like a basic level 2 will protect you from a knife, and it will also protect you from like a low caliber bullet, such as like 9mm, and maybe borderline into like level 3, maybe like 44 Magnum and stuff like that. But I don't particularly worry about that too much, because at the end of the day, I sort of say to myself, well, if someone pulls the firearms out, it's game over anyway. My thing on it is that it's more about the knife, because they're so easy to get. Anyone can go into a shopping center and buy a kitchen knife, and 9 times out of 10, nearly all the knife crime recorded within the UK is done with a kitchen knife, or a screwdriver. So they're 2 very easy things that someone can get a hold of that can cause harm to you. And the great thing about the knife, about obviously the stab proofing is that with like the ballistics level 2, yeah, all right, over the years, the Kevlar in it is going to diminish through the pads. If you keep the pads intact and you look after them, so you've got to disinfect them every now and again, because if you sweat profusely, the sweat will eventually start eating away at the cover and into the Kevlar. So you do have to clean them every now and again. Obviously, you don't want them smelling anyway, because obviously it just looks unprofessional on you. But when it comes to the stab side of things, they don't really lose that capability. They don't lose their protection from a knife unless they've been perforated, and if they've been perforated, it means you've been stabbed. So, but they'll still protect you for a period of time. If you've been stabbed multiple times, it'll still protect you. But once that plate has then been perforated, then you want to start looking at getting another one, because eventually, because the nothing's holding it together tight anymore, it might start to fail.
Yeah, a bit like a motorcycle helmet. Once you have a crash in a motorcycle helmet, that motorcycle helmet won't give you the same protection if you was to hit your head again.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? Actually, that's a good point. Easy way I can put it is, so do you know, like in motorcycle trousers, they are lined with Kevlar. That's what stops the road from slicing you apart when you slide across it. So that the Kevlar is the slice resistant part of it, but inside that is like a metal mesh that doesn't break. So when the knife comes in and hits it, it'll hit the Kevlar and then stop at the metal mesh, because it can't go any further. And that's what stops it from going through. But obviously, if the metal mesh has been absolutely battered and the plate's perforated, then it's not going to give you as good a protection as one that's sealed and ready to go.
Just one thing, just one thing that you said, I just want to confirm with you. When you said that if someone pulls out a firearm, it's game over, you mean you're getting out of there, not you're definitely going to die?
The way I sort of see it is, mate, is that obviously I've been in that situation before, more than once, unfortunately. If someone pulls out a firearm and you can run, you can get away, go. Just don't even think about it. Just go. Right? You do not get paid enough to deal with that shit. It's not worth your life. Things are insured. Just get away, 100%. However, one thing you've got to remember is that you can't outrun a bullet. So if they decide to shoot you, you're going to get shot. Unless they're a fucking terrible shot, which half of them are, so maybe you're in with a chance.
Well, if you're anything like if they're anything like the villains on James Bond, you're guaranteed to live. I don't think I've ever watched a film franchise where someone's been under so much gunfire and maybe twice. Right, so that's body armor. Like I say, there'll be links down below to all of sort of info that we can give or anything like that. So in the description of this video, there'll be stuff down there for more information. But like I say, we are big on body armor. Like I say, level 2 is probably what you'll need. You can go to level 3, but obviously the price starts going up. But yeah, like I say, body armor will be down there. Got anything you want to say before we move on?
Also, guys, when we say about body armor as well, don't just think that we mean go out buy, like you have to buy an overt vest. So an overt vest is the vest that me and Michael wear that sits over the top of our clothing, so people can quite clearly see we're wearing body armor, unless it's underneath our tack vest. Then they're not too sure unless they get close. But you've got covert. So if you work in a job where people don't particularly want you wearing body armor, or you think it might attract attention to yourself, go and get a covert one, because it's worth having. Even if you only ever use it once and it saves your life, it was worth the money. Then the other thing is, well, there are companies out there that make slash-proof or knife-proof clothing. So they make a jumper or a t-shirt that you can put on underneath your clothes. Obviously, make sure you put a base layer on underneath, otherwise you are going to sweat. But it's very similar to the to the stuff that shark bite suits are made out of.
Hmm.
So, like, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but like, if you ever watch like a documentary where people are diving with sharks, they wear these specialist, like metal, weird looking metal suits,
Hmm.
like metally ingrained suits. They're really lightweight. But basically, the way the fibers have been put together with metal is that anything sharp hits it, but will not go through. So, if you're wearing one and someone stabs you, yeah, it's going to hurt like hell. You're going to feel it 100%, but it won't pierce through that clothing through your skin into your organs. It will stop it from going through.
Okay.
So there's that option as well, and they are a little bit less expensive depending on where you go. I think you can pick the tops up for about £85, which, to be fair, for the money and what it's giving you, yeah, I'll take that all day long.
Hmm. Okay. Well, like I say, look, with body armor, you'd rather if you do end up getting stabbed and it's missed your vest, at least you gave yourself the opportunity not to get stabbed. You just got unlucky. So stay safe. Give yourself as much protection as you can. And if you get unlucky, then you get unlucky. But try and stay as safe as you can. Right, next. This is specialist uniform. I've put this in. Now, this is sort of, you can call it technology or equipment or whatever it is, but I see this as a standard piece of uniform for me. Specialist, but obviously standard bit of uniform, and that is a body cam. We both, I assume you wear body cam. I'm saying
yes, yeah. So we, our company issue them.
Yeah,
we don't allow anyone not to work without one.
So yeah, body cam. I use a Rewire. It was recommended to me. I've recommended it to other people, and the people that have got it said that they really like it as well. So body cams, mine goes on my tack vest. It slides in. It's one of them that you can't just clip out. You have to be able to turn it and get it. So it's obviously very hard because in terms of, say that again.
It's called the click fast dock. Save you trying to figure
that out. I'm not technical. I don't know all these words, but anyway, obviously mine, because the last thing you want is if you're in a tussle with someone just to be able to rip off your body cam and run away with it. So it's obviously very hard to get mine off. I see it as pretty much standard. I have heard recently about NASDO courses where they recommend that you don't wear body cams, and companies that don't allow their dog handlers to wear body cams, whether they don't trust their own training or whatever it is, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that everyone should wear a body camera, because if you're not doing anything wrong, it can only work in your favor.
Yeah, it's one of them, Michael. It's the old saying, the camera don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you're in a scenario where you've been dealing with multiple people, and then you got the police, you call the police turn up, they separate the two parties, so they'll take you to one side, they'll take the group to the other side, they'll speak to the group, get their hearsay, they'll come to you, get your side, then they'll weigh things up and go, right, well, there's more of them than there is him, so now we're going to go and speak to him. They'll come to you and say, right, they've made allegations that you've done this, and this, and all of them are corroborating, and their stories are the exact same. However, you've got no one to corroborate yours. Now, if you turn around and go, I've got the whole thing on body cam, they ain't got a leg to stand on at that point.
Yeah.
Because if you can prove to them that what you've just said is true,
mm-hmm.
then guess what? You're getting left alone to get on with your job, and they're getting nicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was speaking to someone recently who, like I say, was told in their NES student that they recommend they don't wear body cams. There was other people in that course, and he was saying about my channel and saying about like sort of the stuff that we spoke about before. And one of the things that one of the handlers was worried about body cams is that it was recording 24/7. Anytime he was wearing it, it was recording. Now I have mine on me, and I have it's like a fast button. So you just press the button and it starts recording. So I'm not recording every patrol. I'm not recording every step I take. But if the dog indicates or there's a noise, I can quickly just press that button. Within a couple of seconds, I'm then recording. So with body cams, it's not a case of it's going to record everything you do, and someone's watching back and making sure that you're patrolling, or they're making sure that you're going for a wee in a bush or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like it's only going to you're only going to record when you see someone, the dog indicates, or something starts happening. Something that I've found useful as well, in terms of body camera, is, let's say I'm working and a car approaches the gate. From a distance, you can turn your body cam on, make your way towards the gate. Whilst you're walking towards the gate, you can reasonably out loud to yourself, read out the number plate, read out the car, read out the colour, a description of that person. Therefore, when you deal with that person, then you go back, you can play the body cam footage back to yourself, and you basically give yourself your notes to write down. So you don't have to, so 10, 15 minutes later, you don't have to remember the red, you don't have to remember the colour, but also when you go up to that person, you're not writing down notes, because if you stand in front of someone and you start taking their notes, they might get a little bit sketchy to why you're taking their information. So you can almost use the body cam as a diary or a log that you can refer back to later, and you're much more likely to get the reg right at that time than 15 minutes later when you're trying to remember, was it a H or was it a B, and all that sort of stuff. So that's another thing that I use body cam for. If I need to remember some information, or I might want to log something that I need to remember later, I can use that as video and then just play it back to myself.
Yeah, that's as I say, that excellent using technology to your advantage on the job. And like, don't get me wrong, I still carry a notebook with me, but very rarely will I stop, or if I'm dealing with someone, very rarely will I get my own notebook out and taking notes, because one thing I'm not doing with a complete and utter stranger that I don't know is taking my eyes off them. So again, yeah, with the body cam, absolutely 100%. It should, I mean, by now it should be realistically a standard thing for the industry. You've got accountability at the end of the day, and the problem with companies telling their handlers not to wear them, 9 times out of 10, all that is down to is people not being taught to do escalation procedures properly. Because I don't know about you, but like, I'm not knocking trainers. I'm not knocking your trainer or my trainer or anyone. But one thing I find is with dog handlers is that you'll go and do a dog handler's course, and throughout the entire time, never once do they say, right, there's a person on site. Yeah, he's on his own. You're next to your vehicle. What do you do? And immediately people get the dog out and walk over, and the trainers don't say anything. First thing I'd say is go and put your fucking dog back in the car. It's one person. Why have you got the dog out? Where's the justification of you approaching a person with a dog when it's just mono? He's on his own. He's not doing anything. You know what I mean? Escalation procedures. If things change at that point, the van's still there, the boot's still open. Walk over, talk to the person. Person starts getting a right, raise your voice. If they start coming towards you and getting aggressive, be aggressive towards them. Push them back. Get them out of your way. Move backwards. If they come forward, spray them with identify spray. Flee the scene. If they chase you, dog them. Because you've justified it. You've put things in place to stop, to say, I did all this before my dog bit him. Escalation, guys, you don't always have to have the dog with you. You know what I mean?
In terms of body cam, so by the regulations of the police, whenever the police are filming you with their body cam, if you watch a lot of the auditors or people like that, the police come over, they start talking to them. The auditor will talk to them for about 10 minutes. And they'll say, "You recording?" And they'll say yes, and he'll say, "You have to let me know." The police in their policy have to let you know that they're recording. At what point do you, as a security officer on a site, need to make that person aware that you are recording them with body cam? Obviously, that can be used as an escalation, because you can say, "I just want to let you know you are being recorded, so please think about what you're doing."
It's a bit of a weird one, because technically we are in a profession, right? So we're conducting ourselves in a profession, and we're using them in a professional manner. However, we are still civilians, and me turning a body cam on is no different from me getting my phone out and starting recording you.
But does that matter if it's public or private land?
It doesn't matter. So a person, if you watch an auditor, you'll see it. A person can video private land and he can video public land. You can't stop him from doing it. And he can video you. You can't stop him from doing it. They've got the right to do it. The only thing they can't do is come onto the land illegally to video. But if they're stood outside and they're videoing your site, you can't stop them. There's nothing you can do. Or vice versa. Do it the other way around. Use that against them.
So at what point do you, as a security officer or a dog handler, need to let that person know that they're being videoed?
What I'd say is that when you go over and speak to the person, have the camera on, and when their attitude changes and they start getting aggressive, then go, right, you are being recorded on body cam, right? Let them know it's like everything you have just done has been recorded on body cam. I have told you to leave, right? After that, you've proved, you've got the evidence there that you weren't the one who instigated the incident. You've tried to de-escalate it, and you've told them to move on. So that's when I do it personally. The other way you could get around it as well is that if you've got like a relatively decent sized body cam, or you've got room on your vest, just wear a patch that says CCTV on or body cam in operation, because technically it's writ on you. So
yeah,
there's the one.
I had a sticker on mine, but my sticker must have fallen off at some point. But there's a big red flashing light. If you're looking at me and you see a big red flashing light, you probably could probably
got
guess
the idea.
Yeah. Probably guess that it is a body cam. So you don't. So as a security officer, you don't have to walk up and announce it straight away. You can.
No,
the
only thing you do, the only thing you do have to kind of do is that, like, if you do stop, obviously, if you turn the body cam on, as you're approaching the person, announce who you are to the person first. So get that out of the way. Say, "Excuse me, stop there, security officer. What are you doing here?" You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be, ultra freaking shouting or anything like that. Just play it casual, play cool, because the more relaxed you are on the body cam, the more it looks like, well, he didn't do anything wrong. Just asked him what he was doing here.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing, going back to using the body cam to log information. Also on my body cam, you get like timestamps, so you get date, timestamps, and also sort of a name. So it's got like Cooper and my name on it. So anyone that views that can see, right, it's this dog and that dog handler. But also like the timestamp and that. So if something starts happening and you click your body cam on, and let's say nothing really happens. Let's say there was someone that came up to the gate, you flicked your body cam on, then they left, and you thought, well, there's nothing really happened. If like later on someone come back up to the gate and something happened, you can then look at your body cam, see the timestamp, and say, okay, well, a car came here at 8:34, nothing happened, and then at 10:27 a car come back, and that's when the incident happened. So you can look at the timestamp and say, well, okay, well, something happened a couple of hours earlier at this time, and then this might be a follow-on. So you might be able to link stuff together, but have accurate timestamps to when that happened.
Yeah, I mean, with someone like the really pucker ones as well, is that when you activate them, it also pings a GPS location in some of them. And what's great about that is that if you're dealing with an incident and you get a money shot of the person, like clear faced, so you can identify them clearly, then that could be used as evidence, because it's timestamped when it is, the location, so they can't say I wasn't there. That places them at that scene at that time.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, guys, moral of the story, but that me and Michael have just been blabbering on for the past minute, wear a body cam.
Right, the next one, I think we could probably knock the next three out in one hit. So it's gloves, snood, and hat. So this is kind of like cold gear. So it's just some specialist uniform that you're going to wear, particularly as a dog handler during the winter. So sort of gloves, I have a couple of pairs of sort of North Face gloves that are reasonably decent. I've got some other gloves that I can put over the top if I require them. I've got some like wool gloves as well. Snood, I have like a golf thin snood, which is quite flexible, but I also have like a thermal thick one for if it is really cold. And then hats, I've got my normal black cap that you see. I also have it in a waterproof one, which makes my head sweat very good, but obviously it's very waterproof. But then also I have like 2 or 3 woolly hats as well. One of them is sort of double insulated if it's really that cold. But yeah, so in terms, I've got like probably about 4 sets of gloves in the van. I've got a couple of snoods. I've got my normal hat, a waterproof hat, and also woolly hat. So yeah, that's sort of what I have on board. I don't know what you have.
So we'll start with gloves. So gloves for me is I will carry a standard, relatively thick leather pair of gloves that are Kevlar lines, so they'll protect my hands from like slash, cuts, glass. You know, a majority of stuff that we will deal with at some point in this job. Nothing too tactical, just, you know, slip on, look kind of smart, easy to maintain. Then I'll have a pair of like the thermal wool gloves, you know, like the ones you used to have as a kid. You know what I mean? Just like really cheap, cheerful. And then what you can do is if you get the right sizes, and then coming down to sizes, is put the thermal one on and then slide the thermal one inside the Kevlar lined leather glove, and then you've got a winter glove, so you don't have to carry multiple pairs. Hats, so I've got a moisture wicking short peak cap from Pentagon, which has got like a Velcro patch on the top, and then I've just got my company logo on there. I've just had printed them, put a Velcro patch on there. That's my winter one because it keeps my head really warm. And then if it gets really cold, then I've got a insulated thin, like it's difficult to explain. So it's a bit like a thermal top, you know, like the really tight thermal tops. Mm-hmm. It's like one of them for your head. Like, okay. You know, you look like a giant Johnny. So thermal hat, and that can go underneath my cap if I needed to. And then if it gets really, really cold, then I've got a mid base layer fleece that sits on top of that, and then my actual woolly hat that has security written across the front of it that sits on top of that. And then my head is just toasty, and I'm not getting cold with all my layers on.
Yeah.
And likewise, my cap is good for like all year round, so it's good for summer as well. So if I'm not wearing my woolly cold weather stuff, then odds are I'm gonna have my cap on.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it, really. I don't snoods are handy. However, like with the like my fleece and my Norwegian, it reduces the need for me to carry a snood because I've basically got one built into the neck of the Norwegian, so I can just utilize that when it gets really cold.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not someone that likes heavy, thick stuff around my neck, or I especially don't like something done up around my neck, which is why I prefer the snood. I don't wear the snood just when it's really cold. If there's like a bit of a breeze, just keeping the breeze off the back of your neck, it's amazing how much warmer that can keep you. That's why I wear a snood. There's one thing I just want to say quickly on gloves. Just remember with gloves that they need to be practical in terms of, remember, you're going to be dealing with padlocks, chains. You're going to need to be able to use them. You don't want to buy gloves that, yes, keep you really warm, but you have to keep taking off all the time to fiddle with padlocks or whatever it is.
one of the biggest forgets of everyone that buys gloves for work, you are going to use a smartphone at some point. And if you've got to take your hand out of your glove every 5 minutes to use a smartphone, there's no point in wearing gloves.
Yeah, and that's why I've got the couple of pairs of the North Face ones with the fingertip. So yes, I can still use my smartphone whilst doing it. So yes, having the big sort of skiing snow gloves, yes, that's very good in keeping you warm. But if you've ever tried to do a padlock, especially like the number ones, trying to fiddle with a number padlock with them gloves on, or like say use your phone. If it's -4 outside and you have to keep taking your hands out your gloves every couple of minutes, you know your hands aren't going to stay as warm as if you just had a decent pair of like the North Face ones or whatever.
Thing I say about that is, like, you sometimes see guys with, like, I'm not against them, but you do sometimes see guys with ski gloves or like the winter mitts that fold off. They are practical. However, what you need to remember is, guys, is that if it is that cold and you are outside for longer than an hour, then there is something seriously wrong. Like, you have done something very wrong if you are out in the cold for that long that you need to don them. You know what I mean? You've pissed the boss off. That's what you've done.
Okay, so one of the last things we want to talk about is watch. So specialist uniform watch. Now, we was umming and ahhing whether watch was standard uniform or whether it was kind of specialized, but I think you can get sort of different types of watch, can't you? So you can obviously get like the analog ones, you can get digital ones, you can get smart watches. I wear a Fitbit watch, so it's like a smart watch. It's quite similar to like the Apple Watch. Obviously get some notifications through that, so if you are out on patrol and you get a buzz, you can look at your watch and see who's trying to get hold of you or if it's important, etc. But obviously it's about keeping time. If you're someone that likes to get your steps in, obviously it's good to have your smartwatch. When I had my health insurance with Vitality, you used to get certain things for certain steps. So obviously wearing your smartwatch and my Fitbit being linked with my health insurance, obviously getting your steps in whilst you're working is obviously good. So, but obviously the main thing for a watch is obviously keeping time, etc. But also, like I say, having something like a smartwatch where you get notifications if your phone buzzes, rather than having to get your phone out, you can just have a look. So yeah, I've got a Fitbit. Like I say, it's reasonably good. It keeps the time. I know what the time is. So yeah, what kind of watch do you wear?
So just before we continue, Michael, you've just brought up a valid point of something that we've probably missed off this list. Earpiece.
Very good. Right, we'll talk about that next. So headphone.
Yeah. So I'll go on with the watch if you want to add that to the list. So my watch, I'm a little bit old school. So I use Casio watch just because they are, one, they're cheap as hell, got a 10-year battery life. They're well made. They're made out of a resin. I've beaten the crap out of mine. Mine is the Casio F-91W. It's a really basic, really low profile, doesn't get in the way, doesn't get snagged on your sleeve very well. So I know that's quite a problem with like G-Shocks and stuff like that. They always, because they're so big, they get in the way all the time. Casio have done a watch with G-Shock, and that one's meant to be really good. It's not as bulky. I think my brother's got one of them. They are pretty good, and they link to your phone as well, which is quite nice. So you can adjust everything from there. With the standard Casio, though, I mean, it gives you everything you need. Gives you the day, date, time, month, 24-hour clock or normal clock. So you've got the options there. Plus, it's got an alarm and a timer on it as well. So I mean, you can pick these up for like £6-7 on eBay. Like, next day delivery. I can't really complain. I've I don't think I've replaced mine. Yeah, I mean, I've had mine for like a good number of years, and I've dropped it in a frigging river and everything. I still not broke it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the most important thing with the watch is obviously that you can bump it around a little bit, but also the strap. Like I've the same as yours. I've got like the rubber sports strap, like making sure that the strap is going to be durable to the job that you're doing. I think that's an important part. But obviously, just remember that it is going to get bumped around. Like my Fitbit smartwatch, I've got like a little cover that goes over it to obviously stop it from getting smashed or whatever. But just trying to stop it from getting knocked about, because when you're dealing with padlocks, gates, chains, dogs, whatever it is, there's a good chance that it might take a few whacks. So either make sure it's protected or use something that you don't mind getting damaged a little bit.
Yeah. Other thing with the straps, guys, as well, is that if you don't particularly get on with like the rubber or the resin ones from like Casio, just go to a place that obviously works on watches or replaces batteries and get them to remove the straps, and then you can go and buy NATO straps, and they will literally just go into any watch, and you've got a NATO strap. They're made of like nylon, or you can get them made out of leather and everything. So if you want to replace the strap, it's actually relatively easy.
Yeah. Just whilst I was thinking about watch, I thought of something else. We're adding to the list every second. In terms of stuff getting knocked about and protecting it, phone case. Phone case in terms of having one that is going to be durable, not that you can get knocked about. On my phone and the work phone, I got 360 cases, so they're purposely built in to obviously link into each other. Like you can obviously get like screen protectors and things like that, but I've actually got like a 360 case. It doesn't stop 100% of dust getting into the phone, but it gives you much more protection than just your standard normal case. And just remember that the sites that you work on, if you drop your phone, if you drop your phone, it's going to be landing on something pretty hard. So making sure that you get a good case for your phone. And like I say, I've got a 361. My phone, it looks brand new. The work one that I've had for like 18 months, when I take it out of there to give it a bit of a clean, it looks brand new. So yeah, just having a 360 case is one of my preferences as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So my phone case is a diver's case. It's from Punk Case. They're an American brand, and this is completely sealed in. So like literally, I could legitimately go and jump into the sea and go down to about 500 meters, and this phone would be able to be used underwater and not get any water in it. The reason I went with this one is because I have a prolific thing about dropping my phone in water. So yeah.
Toilet or puddles?
Both.
I always worry about that when I've got my phone in my pocket, that I'm going to drop it in there.
Yeah. Well, I've done so many phones from dropping it in water. It just went, you know what? Diver's case. Yeah, it's happening. Yeah. It's happening.
I mean, I put that down as specialist kit because you can obviously get a phone case for everyone has a phone case for their phone because they're so fragile nowadays. But having a specialist one for the job that you do, making sure that it's got like 360 protection and things like that, I think brings it under sort of specialist uniform, because although the phone's equipment, it's something that you have to have, so it becomes part of your uniform, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Moving on from that, gone with the phone idea, earpiece.
Yeah, so as you said just a minute ago, headphones, something that is obvious that we've obviously forgotten. Headphones are massive, I think, because it just frees up all your hands. I use Apple AirPods because I've got an Apple phone. Obviously great. Using the AirPods is obviously there's no wires. So obviously when I've got my snood on or I've got a woolly hat on, also the person can't see that I've got one in. The other good thing about it is that I can say, "Hey Siri, call." Oh, I better not. I just said that. Who would you like to call? There you go. Stop. Oh, this ain't going to stop now, is it?
Hey Siri,
But yeah,
call Aaron.
but yeah. So basically, obviously, you can say, "Hey," I'm not going to say the name. Please, can you call XYZ? Whether that's the police or whether that's your office or whatever it is. So you hands free, you can make calls. Also, if you get the Apple AirPods, so when I'm walking around, occasionally it will bing up and say you have a message from such and such, and I can say reply, and then I can talk the reply, and it will reply back. So if I am out on a patrol and work text me, I can reply back to it without using my hands. But I think the main thing is that obviously if you are trying to deal with a person, a dog, a gate, a situation, that you can do it all hands free and have use of both your hands. You don't want to be phone in your right hand, dog in your left hand, trying to deal with someone with a padlock and all that. So yeah, I think it is a big thing. Obviously, you might have a different headphone to what I've got, but
well, the ones I had previous before I ran over them.
Did you get
yeah,
paid?
That's why I don't have one, Michael. Yeah, the ones I had previous were just one of the you can get them pretty much anywhere. The Skull Candy ones, they've got like quite a long battery life as well. And they actually worked really well. They're small, very insignificant, sit in the ear quite well, out of the way. But yeah, as Michael was saying, guys, it is ideal. It's an ideal bit of equipment to have whether you're a dog and a security guard, because there's one thing I always say to people is, they say, "Oh, if I find trouble, I'm going to call the police." And I'm like, well, yeah, good luck calling the police when you're wrestling with a guy. You know what I mean? You're just not going to be able to do it. There's no physical way you're going to be able to keep a phone in your hand and fight with someone or try and get away from someone. It's just not going to happen. So that's a big thing for safety purposes, guys. For the little bit of money you'll spend paying for them, if you get a decent set, they'll last quite a few years, unless you run over them. And then, it'll just save you a bunch of heartache as well. And plus, it makes it works well if you've got a work phone, because if you get like notifications or check calls, comes through the earpiece and it don't come out loud, so your position's not given away if you're trying to remain incognito, shall we say.
I mean, in terms of headphones as well, something that you can do. So let's say you're working a site and two people walk on. You can ring your office or whoever's taking the out of hours calls. You can ring them and say, "Look, I'm just going to go over and talk to these people. Can you stay on the line? If it sounds like it goes a bit tits up, can you call the police?" So therefore, you're on the phone to someone that knows where you are, that can call the police to get to that location. Because you're not going to ring the police and say, "Oh, I'm just going to go and talk to a trespasser," because they'll put the phone down on you. But but that's just wasting police time. So in terms of like a headphone, I'll say I could have my earpiece in under my snood so they can't see it, and then I can go and interact with these people naturally, but have backup on the phone. So if it does go tits up, I know there's someone that can get the police to where I am if I'm unable to do it myself.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, that's perfect. So if you've got a night ops manager, get on the phone to him, say, "Look, suspicious circumstances. I've got two people on site. From what I can see of them at this point, give a brief description of them, so he's got something to go off to give to the police." And then say, "Look, I'm going to go and approach them now. If you hear my dog kick off, something's gone wrong." Or
you can have some form of code word with that ops manager and say, "Look, if I say a certain word, can you call the police?" Therefore, you're not notifying of the people that the police are coming, but the person that's on the phone with you knows, right, he needs the police now.
Yeah. Usually it's something like code red or red. Just say the word red.
Yeah. Are you wearing red trainers? Oh no, they're black. Sorry. So yeah, I think that more or less covers. Now there will undoubtedly be something that people are saying, "Oh, you haven't mentioned this," or there'll be something that we forgot. Look, there's so much stuff that you can mention. There's so much stuff that you are going to forget stuff. So if there is anything that you feel like we've forgotten, then put it down in the comment section below, so that if we have missed something, people can go down in the comments and they can see it. Like I say, there's so much stuff that you could probably keep going into tomorrow with it. So I'm going to say that's all the specialist uniform. In part one, we did say that we was just going to do a quick sort of brief talk on about layering, in terms of making sure that you're wearing the minimum amount of clothing, giving you the minimum amount of restriction, but also giving you the maximum amount of heat, or the maximum amount of sort of wicker stuff to keep the sweat off you, so that you are only wearing the minimum that you're going to need to. So in terms of layering, this is how I layer. So obviously I've got my boots, my socks. I then have some under trousers to keep the sweat away. I then have my trousers on the top. I'll take it for now because obviously it's getting a bit cold. I'll have my under top. I'll then have a t-shirt, my body armor, my hoodie, and then my tack vest. That is how I'm layering at the moment, trying to keep minimum amount, but also trying to give maximum amount of heat in. But you're going to be much better at talking about layering than possibly I am.
No, well, you're not far off, mate. So base layer. So start from the bottom up. Me, synthetical wool socks, straight off. Then obviously your boots, suitable for whatever job role you're doing. Then going up, I will wear the 3/4 length moisture wicking boxers. I will use them as boxers because they are just, there's no point wearing another set underneath. You're just going to be uncomfortable as hell. Plus they give you a lot more room to maneuver. You know, the boys aren't as squished.
Just a quick one on that. I obviously tuck my base layer top into my base layer bottoms, obviously to make sure no wind gets in. Do you tuck your t-shirt in there as well, to make sure it doesn't ride up?
So I know it sounds weird, but I'm a 32 waist and I'm actually quite really fucking skinny. and the problem I've got is that if I do that, because I've tried that, and what happens is that because I tuck my top into my pants as well, is that sometimes it rides up and you can see my boxers sticking out the top of my pants. So so I try and do that, but I can't quite get away with it. So what I tend to do is I just leave it out. And then obviously I've got my moisture wicking top on as well, and then I'll put my polo top on over the top of that, my company issue polo top, and then they both will get tucked in to my trousers and then fastened down with my belt. So they keep all the heat in that area. Then after that will be my body armor on top of my company issue polo, and then after that will be my tack vest on top of my body armor, and then I wear my jacket over the top, open with everything in my vest at my access. But if I wanted to, if it got really cold, I could pull my jacket across and zip it up, and I could still have everything underneath. And my reason for doing that is again, with my layering system, is that if it starts getting really cold, I will get my Norwegian out the car. I will take my jacket and my tack vest and body armor off, and then I will put that on, put my body armor back on, my vest and stuff like that, and I'll leave it on. And then I've got a mid layer then. So I've got a fleecy mid layer to help keep the warmth in, along with my jacket sitting on top. And then going from that, if it starts absolutely chucking it down, I will get my waterproof jacket out the back. It will be sized to be able to fit over everything. And then I will literally just put that over the top of everything, zip it up, and then I'll carry on doing what I'm doing until it stops raining. Because there's no point in putting layers on. Is that if you go out in the rain and then them layers are going to allow water to seep in and make and saturate the rest of it, because all you're going to do is make yourself cold. So sealing in everything with a big waterproof is a good way to go. And it also stops your kit in your vest getting ruined and stuff like that as well. And then obviously if it gets really, really, really cold, obviously we'll go to the thermal hat, the woolly hat, and then the gloves inside, the leather gloves. So it's a very basic system, but it works.
Yeah, I think the basic part of the layering system is making sure that you do have base layer top and bottom, whether that's short sleeve, long sleeve, whether it's thick or thin, just making sure that you have a base layer on underneath at all times. And then it is a case of on the top half just having like base layer, t-shirt, body armor, top, and then like I say tactical vest or whatever it is, but not go into the point where you've got under top, t-shirt, jumper, body armor, jacket, tack vest. Like
because it will. Thing is, like with the layers, is that you only add when the weather reaches that point. You know what I mean? So for a majority, like me and you've got our regular layers that we will wear, and relatively enough, we won't have to add a layer. It's only the nights that you work and where you stood there and you go, I'm actually cold. Like genuinely, this weather is bad. Now I'm gonna go full Michelin man and have the extra layers.
Yeah, I don't think I've worked through snow, I've worked through rain, I've worked through really cold nights, and I don't think with using the base layer t-shirt, body armor, I've never had to wear any more than a hoodie. No, I've never had to go to the really thick jumper because all the other layers are decent. I've never had to go to the point where I've then had to go and put the big jacket on. So yeah, like I say, just making sure that you've got good base layers and decent quality stuff should make you only need to wear like a few layers rather than, like I say, wearing like 6, 7. You don't want to be going up to 6, 7 layers because you can't move once you get to that point.
Yeah, 100%. And the other thing to think about, guys, when you're building your uniform and you're building your layering system is duration. If you're patrolling and your patrolling only takes 20 minutes and then you're going to go back into somewhere warm, then there's no reason for you to layer up. Stick with your basic layer, your body armor, your tack vest, because you're not going to be out very long. And the fact that you're going to be moving quickly is going to keep the heat in. For the likes of me, one of the jobs I do, the patrol route is going to take me over an hour, and the place I do it in, the weather gets quite severe. So there is a genuine reason for me to layer up to do that patrol.
Yeah. I mean, it also as well. It's just one last thing. Also, just remember especially with the outer layers, is that if you are going back into a warm van or you are going back into a warm hut, is that you're going to want to take them layers off. So they obviously need to be easily accessible, that if you need to get out or you need to go out on an emergency or whatever it is, that you need to be able to put them on quickly. Like, you don't want to have to keep putting loads of stuff on. If you can just go in, take your hoodie off, and then you're going to be okay, then just putting one hoodie on is much better than needing to put like a jumper, a hoodie, a jacket, and all that before running out.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And that is part of the reason why I do mine the way I do. So why I wear my body armor and then my tack vest on my body armor underneath my jacket. Because then when I come in from somewhere cold, my jacket comes off, and then I'm still left with all my vital equipment. So for example, if I come back in, I've took my jacket off, it's been a little bit wet, and something kicks off outside that I need to go really quickly, I don't even have to bother with my jacket because I've got all my equipment on me. So I'll just go. If it gets to the point, situations don't last that long, you know what I mean? Unless it's like an RTC or something like that, which we do deal with, but very rarely. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, I think we've covered most things.
Yeah, is that,
I suppose technically you could say a torch would class amongst that body.
yeah,
But
I suppose that does come under uniform, but I think we'll probably end up doing an equipment special kind of podcast. So we won't go massively into torch. Obviously, having a torch and a backup torch. I spoke to you the other day. I need to get myself a backup torch, but yes, I suppose you can go down the torch route, but I think that we could get so lost into that we'll be
yeah.
So
it will be here for a millennia. Simple rule, guys, with torches: 2 is 1, 1 is none. Okay.
and I'm 1 is none. But yeah, so yeah, we'll put torch down as uniform, but I think that comes under probably an equipment special kind of podcast. So yeah, torch, but we won't go into it now because otherwise we'll be here forever. So
yeah,
oh yeah,
longer than we have.
So yeah, that is uniform. That is uniform parts 1 and part 2. It was good that we did this over 2 parts because we are currently over 3 hours into our Zoom. So yeah, it definitely had to be a part 1, part 2. My dog has just brought me his rope, so I think we can leave it there because otherwise I'm going to start getting barked at.
Just before you go, Michael, just wanted to mention to everyone, if you could show your support. Michael's just been nailed.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah. Go on. Mention this thing. Mention what you're doing.
Yeah. So my fiance is going to be doing a 5K run over Christmas to raise money for cancer. And obviously, we just want to sort of, if anyone wants to donate, feel free. We'll put the link in the description below if you want to donate there. We're just trying to raise some money and do something good to help people over the Christmas period. So if you could show her a bit of support, Miss UK Security 101, it'd be much appreciated, guys. All right. So yeah, I thought I'd put that in there.
Yeah, I mean, I've kept this reasonably quiet, but this year I've had a family member that's gone through cancer, who's gone through cancer treatment and things like that, and people that do stuff like runs to obviously help raise money obviously goes to help to fund that sort of stuff. And listen, we don't ask for much. Like we do this off our own backs. We don't really ask for much. So if you are listening to this podcast, or you have been watching my videos, or you've watched some of Aaron's videos, and you feel that the video is worth some money, then we'd rather that you send that money and sponsor her on the run for Christmas. So we don't ask for much. So if you've got a spare £5, a spare £10, every pound helps. If you've got some spare money, then the link will be in the description below. And yeah, if you can help out, it'll be really great for everyone, really. Because like I say, I've gone through it personally this year with someone. So like I say, every pound helps, and the help that it does give obviously helps everyone, including the family as well. So yeah, if you feel that you've watched our stuff and you feel that it's worth donating, then please press on the link below. Anything that you can give will go a long way.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys, for listening anyway, and I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah. Right, guys.
And right on cue, here's my boy.
my dog come over, gave me his rope, bit me on the finger, and then he's gone and laid down. So guys, that is the end of uniform. That is everything that we've got to say on uniform. I hope you enjoyed part 1 and part 2. Obviously, thank you to Aaron for taking 3 hours out of his Saturday to come and do this. I'll say all the links for everything are going to be down in the description below. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below for loads more videos. Anything else that they can do? I don't know. Comment. Say something.
More suggestions in the comments for videos.
Okay, more suggestions in the comments. Yeah, we've obviously got like maybe an equipment special that we'll do a podcast on. But if anyone wants to mention something, I think that we should do a podcast on like stuff you couldn't make up. So stuff that we've heard in the security dog world about that you couldn't make up, but is actually true. So maybe that's an episode we could do as well. But as for now, I think we'll leave it there. We've mumbled on enough. Go down to the description below for all the links. Make sure that you donate for the Run for Cancer as well. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll speak to you later. Cheers.